So when they become aggressive, you got to meet them with the same aggression back to stop the threat. You don't sit there and take the blow. So, some of the tactics and the things that I learned in the military actually helped me survive that situation.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast. I know.
You already know. Yeah, you dealt with it a little bit in Caldwell, and then you had it in Essex Fells. You had officers over there. Everyone makes their comments. I worked nights.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll say it right now. I know what the comment is.
Oh.
They pulled over a car, and I think the code for them. I'm not going to say the department,
right?
But the code for them was 1039, which is a motor vehicle stop. I'll be 1039 with a load of coal. You know what that means. For everybody out there, I just pulled over a car full of black people.
Right.
And I heard that over the air. I heard it over the air. I go, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, shit. You get all the comments. When I came into the department, we had they said I was gonna be met with some of that. Me coming out of the military myself, I already had a regimen in how I operated, and I'm a tactical individual. So a lot of things, you take on the chin, but at the same time, it's like I'm not someone that you can disrespect.
Not a chump.
It's far from that.
Yeah.
So the thing is like you got to hold people accountable. Everyone walked in a little bit of eggshells because they didn't know how you're going to react or do some things. I've been in my little bit of trouble here and there in the department because of it. Because I'm stand up for myself. I'm my own man, right? So I never let the badge or the uniform or the weapon dictate who I am as a man. As a father or a dad, none of that. This is here.
Take away the persona of the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear certain comments or you hear somebody else said a certain comment, what's that feel like inside? I don't have this. I'm obviously not black, so
right.
I don't have this experience. What does that make you feel like inside? Does it like, man, geez, again, like what is this shit?
No, I never had that aspect of like, again, it's like I hold people accountable.
So you go up to them and say,
"Oh no, you get dealt with. You're going to get talked to. I'm going to tell you what it is, and then or I'm just going to tell you you're just ignorant, right?"
Yeah.
I said you need to change how you're thinking because remember the time that we were sitting at I think it was the Starbucks, and had a one girl coming in, and it was coming out of town, and she was a David Duke fanatic.
Oh my God.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You talking about getting blasted by a female that was running her mouth of every derogatory word in this and be that and anything that can happen. But then there's the professional side of having enough discipline to understand that when somebody's sick or someone's just being ignorant. She was a little bit of both. But at the time that all that came down, we had one of our officers come down, the sergeant. I think he was working. And then when he came down, they locked her up. But we took her to crisis. And the best medicine that she could have gotten is to take her down to East Orange crisis.
You're 100% correct on that one because that will open your eyes
right
real quick because you're all bags of shit down there. So I mean,
so now you want to run your mouth about who this is, who I am. And I was off duty at the time going to work, so I didn't have anything on. But she ended up saying all the same things to a police officer. And now it's a bias incident. But I don't charge her because I'm going to be better than that. But I'm going to show you the lesson in how karma works. So I send you to East Orange crisis because you're acting crazy.
So I used to like when people, it was a reverse for me. It's, I'd pull over a black person and they'd call me cracker. They'd call me whatever they call me. I looked at it this way. You're telling me exactly who you are without me having to do any work. You're just showing me behind the curtain of who you are as a person. And I actually like that. When I see that, it's the people, I don't know about you, but it's the people who smile to your face and then stab you in the back. Those are the people that I really, really have a problem with. They'll placate you to your face and then they'll go away. Oh, it's this guy, it's this and that, and then call you whatever name they want to. I always had a bigger problem with those people.
Well, the thing is when you first got on, it's one of the first conversations I had with you. I said, listen, when you talk to some of these officers out here and you start dealing with people, you need to make your decision based on their behavior, not everything that they say. They're going to say certain things just to keep you and just drop your defenses so you can just open yourself up. So you watch what they do and how they behave to the public and their people, how they speak to their family, how they speak to other drivers on the road. Just watch and learn. They're going to show you who they are.
And when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you believe them.
Yeah.
So you move on, and you do have all different things in the police department. You were in the DB. You were doing some stuff down in the city.
Yeah,
correct?
rapid deployment teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Like when we first got on, it was fun.
We had fun.
We had a good time. You know, we were younger. We were aggressive. Some of the bosses didn't really like that. You know, we got some pushback for that stuff. And somehow you get tied into the boss where you're the boss's guy.
Right.
Now, I knew differently, but from the outside world looking in, everybody, oh, he's the Chiefs guy. He's the Chiefs guy. I know you weren't. I know you were being ordered to do certain things, but how did you feel about that? Did you like that, or did you like that detail, or it was just business as usual?
I think the detail in the beginning, when it allowed me to be what I need to be as a police officer. Because when I was in the beginning, obviously, when you're the rookie, you're getting tossed everywhere. Guys are dropping work on you. You're doing their reports when they're there.
50 house checks in the morning.
Yeah, you're doing all their stuff. So in the beginning, it was more of a sidebar protection aspect because I was allowed to just go do what I do. Run down people, write tickets, do traffic. Don't have to answer too many calls. I had a good field training officer with Gates.
Oh, glad
and,
he was my field training officer as well.
So he was solid. He always treated me well.
Except that motherfucker listened to fucking jazz.
Because of me.
And turned the heat on.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm driving and I'm nodding because I'm listening to Chuck Mangione and it's 900 degrees in there.
Funny.
It's because I got on the road like December, and but other than that, he was good. He was.
Oh yeah,
he's
he's solid. I liked him, and we always chopped it up. And he likes jazz because I like jazz. I'm the one that caused that. That's what I used to put on. Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
That's what he did. He turned it on 101.9 at the time. That was the station.
God, it was awful.
So he started to like it because he used to listen to something else. Then I started listening. I listened. That was what I was listening to. So since I was out there with him, he started taking, heed to it. And he started liking it. So that was his go-to.
Now, how's stuff at home at this time? You have a young daughter, and when I first got on, your young daughter had some medical issues, and I remember it scaring the hell out of me. Like it really, I came to the hospital. It was in Morristown, and it just scared the hell out of me. And I wasn't even a father yet, but that's how much you impacted me that I felt I wanted to just be there, just as somebody to say, "Hey, bro, listen, whatever you need. You need something. I'm here."
Right.
And it was big for me. And now she's, this gorgeous, beautiful woman. And I was like, man, you got your hands full with that one, brother.
You treat them as young adults at this point. At that time when she was getting sick, she had a lot of seizures. A couple times where you don't know, there'd be a touch and go because she had grandma seizures. They were back to back. And it was like machine gun fire, just constantly shaking and going through it. It's nerve-wracking, stressful, especially your parent. It was rough on her mother too, seeing it, and I got to handle it, keep everything calm, get her to the hospital, get her checks, and doing all the things that come with that.
Meanwhile, still trying to keep your head in the game when you go to work, because it's even though it's a suburban town, there's dangers out there.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
So that's hard to keep that.
It's a
that
balance.
Waypoint, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with the discipline of certain things. When we go to work, I leave. I took a lot of that experience from the military, being in the field, and I never really took pictures to the field with me because my prize at the end of the day is to come home and be able to see my kids and hold them myself physically.
I remember an incident where it was touch and go. Remember the car chase out of the Lexus dealership?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that accident. I can still tell you the numbers for that accident. So what happens, let's backtrack. They're detailing a car for delivery. A kid gets in there. Of course, he was an aspiring rap star, good kid, but he stole a car. And you pick up the chase on Eisenhower Parkway, and you're chasing him, and you lose him. So he loses control of the car because he's only a kid, hits the ramp at 77 miles an hour, hits a fire hydrant, throws the fire hydrant 311 feet. This is how well I remember this. launches himself at the launch was 77 miles an hour. Hits a small tree, and that tree
could have been
4 inches
around, hardly
4 inches, and the car hangs up in the tree. The engine goes 110 feet and hits a car that was in our fire department. And I think I was one of the first ones there. It was me and somebody else, and I see the kid on the ground. You know, he's dead, and the car's still hanging up in the tree.
Yeah.
And then you went through the ringer for that one.
It was, our sergeant and ourselves, we sat down, we talked, and his perspective of the end of, the chase and, the pursuit, we were at a good distance. It was just the fact that he decided to make a decision, and I happened to be there on the other side of that decision.
Yeah, he rammed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rammed you. I remember everything about that. And I remember, I remember looking down at the kid who's dead on the ground, and I'm like, man, he must have whacked his teeth on the steering wheel. And then the paper ran something the next day, and the kid was smiling. I'm like, nah, his teeth were just jacked up before he got in there. That's how well I remember that accident.
Yeah, it was a situation. I was at the end of Eisenhower already myself. The Sergeant Jace was working at the time. Was working together, and from that point on, it's like we had a plan. He said, don't go up into this ramp doing 100 miles an hour, and I'm gonna be in it. So we're just gonna slow things down, and he managed that well. And then we sat side by side, and I told him, I said, there's the car right there. And then I went over on the other side over to the Luke Oil from the Exxon, and went across. And then this guy looked at me, I looked at him. And he decided to step on the gas, and I stepped on my gas. It's on. So when we sheared off each other, he pounced past the diesel gas tanks as I bounced back as well. His car shut off, mine's shut off. But when we hit, his axle broke underneath the car. The back axle is where I hit him in the back. And that created the situation where the car was out of control when he shot up Eagle Rock Avenue. He sideswiped the car on Passaic, and he just went up Eagle Rock, and he took off. We went out of sight for a while. My car's smoking, Sergeant Jace's, we're parallel to each other. He's on the air calling it in. I got hit, and nobody hears nothing else from me. So when
so I was in headquarters, and here's what we hear: car just hit a tree, white car, and I'm like, oh shit! I think it's you.
I think it's me.
I think it's you. So we run down there, and there he is. But Steve always used to Steve Sarjace. I love Steve. I still talk to him occasionally, and he used to teach me. You run them into the ramp. You knew where they were going. They're going 280 east. You run them into the ramp because years ago there was a fuel spill on there. So and as soon as you get to the ramp, let off the gas,
right,
and let them keep accelerating because their car is going to spin. And I used to catch a lot of cars that way because they would spin off the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the experience that we're talking about.
Right.
That's the experience. But I know you got put through the ringer with that one. And, somebody lost their life tragically, a kid, he was a kid. He was making kid decisions.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Now, you're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
What's going through your head? You see this, and did you feel responsible? Did you feel bad? Did you feel like you did your job?
There's multiple different levels of that for me. Part of me, a version of me, coming out of the military, that's a decision of war and battle. He made a decision to try to take my life. So based on that approach, I'm doing my job to stop the threat. He made a decision to, use aggression and violence that comes with it. So it's just meeting the same energy with the same energy. I'm not going to sit back and be a victim of anything. So when they become aggressive, you got to meet them with the same aggression back to stop the threat. You don't sit there and take the blow. So, some of the tactics and the things that I learned in the military actually helped me survive that situation. If I sat there and took the blow the way that I was positioned, I get pinned in the car with the door between the center console, which is all metal. For us,
Lexus LS 400 or ES 300 or LS 400. It was one of those.
It was one of the ES, I think. It was a 2-door coupe, right? So when you're looking at it and sitting on the side of the door, I actually when we got hit, because I didn't have a cage in the car, that gave me
That's right.
I didn't have a cage.
Vehicle 2, Freddie and I got put in because there was no
bigger.
cage in the car. It was more comfortable.
You got more comfortable. Yeah. So because of that, I was able to come out of the seat and get back in the seat a little bit to dodge the hit. So that was a blessing too. That's the reason why we had the car.
Right.
So so we can move around. But in that, it was more or less stop the threat and protect the public. Once I got hit, it was just a matter of, do we get to the car? Unfortunately, the young man passed on. That's not obviously at no point that's our motive. We preserve life, and at the same time we got to protect the public, and then protect the individual. So after approach an individual myself, we go there to perform CPR and provide medical assistance, because the one thing you don't want is someone to pass on and that decision causes their death. And that's
something that people don't understand about police officers. Like, say you were to get involved in a shooting, you shoot somebody and they're down. Your first responsibility, once the scene is safe, is to go render medical aid to the guy that you were just in a gun battle with.
Right.
It's crazy.
But that's what you have to learn to do, and that's why you have to be the professional at doing it, because you can't have your emotions start to take over and say, fuck this guy. He tried to do this to me. It's like, he did it. He made a decision, and now I got to be the professional that I'm hired to be. Mm-hmm. It's like you said, the guy made a decision to try to take my life. I act accordingly to protect mine. And then you do the things that are necessary to protect the public. Then as you scale through, then it's like, now he's hurt and injured. Now I got to do this part of the job. So it's segmented based on the decisions and the efforts of other people that may be around versus the decisions that you have to make discretionally to your safety, the public, and the individual themselves. They can't protect themselves. You got to protect them from themselves.
I want people to understand how difficult it is. You have to go try to save somebody's life who just tried to take yours. Police officers have to do this all the time. Mm-hmm. All right? Think about how difficult that would be. That means you have to drop whatever aggression you have inside of you, whatever adrenaline dump is going on inside your core, and then you have to switch from aggressive mode, protective mode, to life-saving mode, like that. There's no in between. It's crazy if you think about it, and I think you navigated that situation very well.
Yeah, and on top of yourself being hurt, going to the hospital, getting evaluated, everyone's calling after they see it on the news and like, what happened, and that's my kids call me, like, oh, that's Daddy's car on TV, and then I got other police officers calling, as you heard, like you was at dispatch at that time. The detective bureau came down, and all he's heard was the white car was in the tree. They thought it was my car because I got hit, and that's the last thing he heard. And then now the car's in the tree, so they thought that was my car wrapped around. And then we noticed that they saw me outside, and then everything went the way it went. I walked away.
My first sight of you was with your gun drawn.
Yeah,
that's my first sight of you.
Yeah.
So, how's you're bringing all this stuff home? You're seeing all this stuff, and for a small town, we were relatively busy. I think we were. Now you have to go home and you have to disconnect and raise 2 children and have a wife there. But at some point, there's some problems in the marriage. Mm-hmm. Do you think it was job related, or do you think it was just you two bumping heads?
I think some things come with entitlement. Sometimes that happens. I worked all the time. I was kind of like, you can call a workaholic. I just wanted better for my family.
Yeah.
I'm younger, so it's time to get it. Now I have the job that I've been trying to get for the last 10 years. So now that's a pride thing. Now it's like, it's time to catch up on lost time. And so now when I'm looking at the job, it's like, you're trying to raise kids. She's young, trying to be a mother. I'm in the middle of my career. It's just a lot going on. I think what happens as things started happening after I had the one accident and misfortune of that situation, I come back into work, and I think around that time, her family got murdered.
And that's going to do it for part 1 of the Suffering of Retaliation with Freddie Mitchell. There's just too much information to put in here in one episode, so we're going to break it up into 2. So go to popple.com, put in the code TSP20 for a 20% discount off your digital business card. Follow us on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, X, Clapper, whatever, OnlyFans. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson, and of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. Next week's going to be number 2.